The enemy has a very strong early game at the very beginning of this game, to getting my second base attacked by a bunch of yap yap grunts. Great Y move by me. And then my Condor is coming in to try and defend a huge attack, and a please don't shoot goes down. Having a vet 1 Condor and a big attack off the enemy's secondary base, and finally 2 sexy vet 1 Condors. Let's go see how all this started off. We're going to go ahead and skip a little bit ahead where the base has already been established with the simple supply gen armory build, where we're going to go ahead and get our Forge Hog out and going. We got some Marines going around the map as well to get those additional supplies that are set up there. My teammate's the one that goes and grabs that mini base, upgrade that supply pad on my part, because when you're upgrading a leader, you can actually upgrade a supply pad in that meantime in between. And now we're going to go ahead and start getting our scouts in to see what's going on. And we're going to go ahead and start with just building up a better army altogether. We have a long way to go, and just from this scout alone, there's a bunch of little cannon fodder showing up with some Marines that are showing up by yellow as well. They're working on mid pretty well and getting that node. And there you have it, double raid camp by orange. That's kind of a red flag, so that means it's going to be a little bit hard to actually grab a second base, just because the early game presence is so strong, which you can see in that mid looking at that node. All those cannon fodders that are showing up, the Marines that are getting engagement, and that's my cue to go ahead and try and escape from this situation and just use the Warhog to try and get as much damage as possible, as well as the scout, and just make sure that we don't lose whatever units that we have. Every unit is a good unit we want to have. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a turret as well to start, getting our defense set up, just because we're going to deal with those double raid camps that the enemy's going to have. So Warthog is coming in to go ahead and remove the rest of the cannon fodder. That's not really much of a threat as a whole, which is always a good sign. So we're going to keep on making those scouts, just because we need something to fend off an army for when it happens. But it doesn't look like everything is going to be too difficult to deal with, at least in our own base. But there is a fight happening on one of our power nodes on the left hand side, looking at the mini-map. But right now I'm too distracted to go ahead and deal with these little cannon fodders that are just associated with this attack over here. Great scout by the cannon fodder over there by the enemy to see when a second base is being made. And speaking of second base, yellow, the cutter, is going to actually try and take green's second expansion base. So we're going to try and pressure that to the best of our ability. We are going to go ahead and self-destruct the supply pad. And so I want to give a little bit of insight here. My plan for this game, when I saw how the leaders were set up, we're going against a cutter, we're going against a Anders, and we're going against a Yap Yap. There we go. A Yap Yap. But before we do, we got ourselves a big engagement by yellow over here. Y move goes down by Forge. It hits good group of Marines. All 4 of them getting damaged pretty well, and Yap Yap's coming in to reinforce. So now I can go ahead and continue where I left off, which is actually we're going to clear out the remainder of yellow's army, which means we get rid of that expansion base that yellow has. I'm going to go ahead and grab my own second base. But my plan is simple. I knew that we were going to have difficulty during early and mid game, especially if Anders gets siege. So my idea behind this is to try and hold out and get a Condor to the best of my ability. I know I'm going to be on one base. I don't really have much that can deal with the early game so far. If I go vehicles, I could somewhat deal with it, but eventually Anders siege will become a problem down the line. And so I'd rather get the Condor out first and then use the drops by Forge to go ahead and get the vehicles that I need to do the power push at the bottom. Because look at Red. Red has a bunch of snipers out already, and he's out on the map and doing work, pushing back the colony. And I'm over here getting another good Y move at least. Spartan Slam does go down, which stuns one of the Jackrabbits. We do end up losing one of them, but the Forge Hog is doing pretty well, I might say, in regards to at least chipping off some of these infantry units that we see here. And so now my second base is starting to be under attack by Marines, so I'm going to start sending my Forge Hog to go ahead and reinforce that section while I get that expanded, and we're going to get that upgrade for that Forge Hog as well. So things are looking all right so far. As I said, the plan is to get a Condor. I decided that at the very beginning of this game, and so this is what this build order is going to try and show. And I would love to get the second base, and we're going to see if we're going to be able to. We got Flame Vets and Infantry already dealing damage, and then all of a sudden Yap Yap with the grunts have shown up as well at my base, so things are not really looking too hot. I'm going to go ahead and start retreating. I will get a Y move down on those grunts, which that's pretty excellent. But a stun comes down by the grunts, and then all of a sudden an ODST drop comes down as well. And more stuns are coming in on my Forge Hog as well. So I'm going to make a siege turret because there's not much I can do about it. I'm not going to go ahead and drop down that heal. That hero is gone. And this main second base is going to be gone as well. So this was to be expected. I wanted to go ahead and still attempt a second base if possible, but it just turns out that was not the case. So we're still gaining enough power where I'm going to go ahead and get ready to go to that Tech 3. But for now, we're going to have to hold off to the best of our ability. They still have a very strong presence. All three of them have gone strong early. So Yellow's Cutter, Yellow's going to be sticking with infantry, at least as of right now. Gray Suicide Grunts definitely need a bit more. And Red also has gone barracks with the snipers associated with that too. So we're kind of in a tough spot as a whole, but Yap Yap's just doing a great job right now. Heavy Metal is coming in, and what I mean by Yap Yap, I meant the Suicide Grunts. And we're going to cancel that scout and finally start working towards Tech 3. They are going to try and pressure my base with grunts, and honestly with the turrets that I have set up, I feel like I'm going to be absolutely okay. They're not really going to do much that's going to go ahead and just threaten my position as a whole. Siege turret is doing good to at least apply pressure on whatever was trying to capture the node. And if you look at the minimap, blue is thinking about putting some pressure on orange's base as well. And all in all, this was a good hold. They definitely overcommitted in this situation, and they still don't really know what I am doing yet. Was going to grab a second base, but decided not to because I sat on charge. It's just sitting right there, but then I decided to do it anyways. But red is starting to threaten dark blue's main base, which is quite unfortunate. And my expansion base also took some damage when it really didn't need to because I chose to build it over that sentinel charge. So that was quite unfortunate in that regards. And so we are going to get more pressure coming in by red on dark blue's base. But dark blue is trying to put pressure on orange's base as well. And so I'm going to come in and try and help reinforce and focus down on the shield generator while Yap Yap's going to focus down on the nightingales to get rid of the heals. But a grunt dome goes down to go ahead and protect the shield generator, and I don't think we're going to have enough DPS to go ahead and deal with the shield gen that's going to be popping up soon. So kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. We're going to go ahead and get that scatter bomb upgrade. Can't think about going ahead and just dropping that down, but I figured we won't have enough to kill the shield gen. Let's go ahead and just try and kill some units before we go ahead and get on out of here. And then our own grunt dome goes down, but the shield gen goes up. So now we're in this just weird stalemate situation. Still not much that I can do. I want to see if I can at least do some damage and get rid of some units as a whole. And there we go. We're going to have our first Condor being made at the 9-minute mark. We hit the perfect amount of supply and power at the right time. So now we're going to try and take advantage of that situation. And now that the sentinels have been dropped, that's my cue to go ahead and fall back. There's no way I'm going to be able to just stop or put any more pressure. But speaking of which, ODSTs get dropped. Sentinel charges are getting dropped as well. I do run over 2 mines, but we're going for a full scale retreat, and there's a full counterattack that's going to be happening on that right hand side. So we do have 1 supply gen, which is going to be pretty nice, but it doesn't look like this base is going to last much longer. But we will get a scatter bomb down, and this scatter bomb is actually going to be pretty good because we're going to weaken a couple units, and it's also going to give us an opportunity to kill additional units as well. A heal is going to go ahead and go down and try and heal some units while we continue to apply some pressure to save this base. We do have a siege turret that is helping us out, but we don't really have the anti-air to help get rid of these nightingales. So this is going to be our cue to get ready to retreat, and we're just going to keep dishing out as much damage as we can, take out as many units as we can. But we're here to not overcommit. We want to make sure we try to keep some of these jackrabbits alive, because those are our only units that can deal damage at this very moment. And we're going to keep making them as well until we establish this second base and until we get that leader point that's going to be needed for Grizzly Tank. So for now, we will have enough power to go ahead and upgrade our Forge Hog when we have that opportunity. And we're going to go ahead and try and grab the second base as well. Green's doing a great job applying pressure at mid, which is always something that you want to see. And I'm going to go ahead and try and grab the second base once again. This jackrabbit's about to die, but we end up saving it. And a please don't shoot ends up getting called, and this is probably because if we look at the middle of the map, there it is. Green needs some time to retreat, so that way he doesn't lose his entire army. And it's going to give me a little bit of time as well. And speaking of a little bit of time, the Condor is out and ready to go. So we're going to get our Condor in a posture position. What I want to do is start pressuring the right side of the base. But then as I start doing that, start heading over there, yellow has shown up in the mini map right on mid. So we're going to start setting our reinforcements over Forgehog with a great Y move to deal with a little bit of damage. And the Condor is going to be coming in as well. We're going to try and get a good Y move by the Condor and see what we can go ahead and take out. And look at that. Oh my gosh, massive damage across the board against all that infantry. And it does look like we're going to be clearing all of this out. The Condor is doing great damage, and they finally recognize that a Condor does exist. So they're going to go ahead and start retreating. Air pads are going to come up because I would love to get some heals at this point. But a drop comes down by Cutter. And so things are going to get a little bit dangerous. But if Please Don't Shoot does get called. Now, I don't know if this was our teammate that called it. That was Dark Blue is playing as Yap Yap. Or if it was Orange. But we do have an opportunity to go ahead and apply some pressure nevertheless with the Condor. Another great Y move by Forge goes down. And we're just applying so much pressure. Yap Yap is coming in on the flank. We're killing some units with some tanks. And now you see some siege that's showing up as well, which can become a problem. A lot of siege will mean more sentinels are going to be showing up. And so this is something that we're going to want to try and just deal with along the way. And speaking of which, I was going to go ahead and work on that second base, but it does look like it's just not going to happen. Y move is going to try and go down, but this base is just going to be gone. So let's stop the upgrade from happening. Let's cancel everything and self-destruct and try and get some additional supply. And with that, we're going to go ahead and make an additional Condor. Because, you know, why not? They don't really have a response to this as of right now. And we are clearing out the majority of the siege that's happening over here at mid. And Orange spent all his units to go ahead and deal with my expansion base, which is fine. But we have such great momentum over here at mid. And now that I got the Grizzly tanks, we're going to go ahead and try and upgrade our... get enough supply to go ahead and get those Grizzlies that we want down the line. Great heals by the engineer as a whole. And now we're going to go ahead and just start working on clearing out this second base by yellow. We have an opportunity to do so. And speaking of which, there's two Kodiaks right there that we're going to want to get rid of as well. We don't really want them to get a good amount of siege up. And a great Y move by the Condor knocks one out. And the Forge is going to go ahead and knock the other one out. Now that the Condor did its job, we're going to retreat it just a little bit because it's taken quite a bit of damage. And we're going to go ahead and start focusing down on the base as a whole to go ahead and try and take that out. And it does look like we are going to be able to do so, which is pretty nice, I might say. A great cover fire by the, I think by our own Yap Yap. Yep. In order to go ahead and just get that push away to help separate the army between the two. And now that we have a tough decision to make. We have to go ahead and either go with this push between orange and yellow or start falling back. And it does look like we're going to go ahead and start getting ready to fall back. We're doing some great damage as a whole. But the way my Forgehog is postured in the back, that's going to be a cue for us to just start falling back as a whole. Just because the Condor's at halfway health. And so then I realized, hey, if orange is over here at this map and green is doing some great distraction at red at the top, let's go ahead and work our way around to go ahead and try and hit Yap Yap's expansion base. Yeah, they are able to see us through the power node that's associated over there, but we are going to still try and see if we can posture up and do some good damage over here. So we do have heavy metal if need be. We are getting the reinforcement upgrade. We're finally going to get our second base for about the third time, and now we're just going to go ahead and try and take this out. Focus down on the cloaking gen, because once we get rid of that, we don't have to worry about detect anymore. And now we're going to go ahead and just focus down on the base. Y move comes down on the Condor. The Condor is focusing down on the base. So is all the other units by Yap Yap. Scatter bomb is going down. Please Don't Shoot is going down as well. But we are getting some heals by Yap Yap, which is going to be really nice. But it does look like reinforcements is coming in. So we're going to go ahead and start pulling back just a little bit, because it's not really an engagement that we can take. But our Condor will at least do its best to try and dish out some damage and just chill over here at this position as a whole. The Forgehog is looking pretty good, and we do have more heals coming down by Yap Yap to heal up our Condor. We're just going to go ahead and keep on retreating as a whole. Another Please Don't Shoot is coming down. They do have a lot of momentum as a whole, but we are getting that sweet amount of supply that we need to go ahead and do our drop. And we are getting the upgrades for the fortification as well as being able to produce units faster. And now we have two Condors on the field. They're really going to have to decide what they want to do about this. We're going to have some good Y moves coming down. And even though they have some Shrouds and a Grunt Dome that's going down, we're still going to be able to try and micro to the best of our ability between the two Condors. The Cleansing Beam does go down, and things are getting a little bit rough, and we finally get enough for the drop for the... Oh, I guess one of my Condors took the TP. There it is. It's that Vet 1, and we're going to just start chilling over there dealing with that while we're still dealing with the push that's happening on my expansion base. The Grizzly tanks do come in, which is pretty nice. We're going to work on this economy while we can. But this Condor is doing a very good job on red. It's a very happy accident being able to push a little bit on red side with that Condor, while this Condor is now going to be responsible for trying to put that additional damage on this lane as well. So Condor's going to start posturing up and trying to focus down on that turret if possible. But then I see more reinforcements coming in, and that's my cue to go ahead and start retreating. There's no way I could really do anything about that. But a huge attack is going down on blue with a bunch of siege and a bunch of units as a whole. But this does mean that red is preoccupied trying to take out blue's base, which means we're going to try and take out orange's base because orange is now in a 2v1 situation. Dark blue for Yap Yap is trying to figure out whether to stay or go, but then he commits to going ahead and staying. And I do have my own Condor, my other Condor that's ranked 1 right now, to come in and help reinforce and help trying to get rid of whatever's over there by red. So it's unfortunate because blue's base is now starting to be in shambles. There we go. A bunch of sentinels are showing up, but the Condor is coming in, and we are going to make those additional supply pads to go ahead and give reinforcements if we need that. But things are looking a little bit tough here for us, but it's looking just as tough for them too. We do have green as colony just doing a great job as a whole, just still applying that pressure on that lane. And then I decided, you know what, let me go ahead and take the teleporter and go ahead and try and sandwich red's units in order to try and finish off what is over there, because green is doing a great job and orange is being distracted by green with the colony. And so this is our opportunity to try and take red out of the count now. So I come in to try and cut off reinforcements. This Condor is actually doing a great job as well. My other Condor is coming in from behind, and we're going to take TP for the rest of the units. And there you go, you have this Condor that's just going to sit here and do all the magnificent damage that it needs to. And there we go, we have our Grizzly tanks coming in, just waiting for them. And we have our Forge Hog waiting for it as well. Yes, our Condor will be taking a little bit of damage, but just by looking at it, blue comes in to help deal with orange, and orange ends up self-destructing all their bases. It's pretty much done. It was a great counterattack that we ended up doing. We squashed red at the end, and green, playing its colony, was just able to just stay in the middle and just apply so much pressure and keep his units alive as a whole. So that's very cool to see. So now all that's left is red, and we're going to go ahead and bring our whole army together in order to go ahead for one final attack. And so one thing to go ahead and point out is the Anders over here was pretty tricky. Had a bunch of siege and went Wolverines as well. But fortunately, things did work out in our favor in regards to just, you know, avoiding red, because red had the siege and we didn't really want to deal with that. Yap Yap correctly staying on one base, just given the situation, it would have been really hard otherwise. And just being everywhere else over the map, while green also did some great pressure as well. So green and dark blue are dealing with the base at the top, which they end up taking out. And my two Condors are here to help deal with the units that are over here. Well, mainly just the base. Upgrade that restoration drone twice. And so now we're going to have both our Condors just continue to do some work. We're going to clear out the remainder of this base. And there you have it, 2 ranked 1 Condors. That's not something you see every day. Even though the game is coming to an end, it is always pretty nice to see to get ranked 1 Condors, because they get more accuracy and damage reduction. And there they go, showing off the 2 ranked 1 Condors. And we end up taking that second base off by red as well. So all in all, I chose to go this plan just because it was going to be very hard to win any earlier mid-game whatsoever, just based off the leaders we were going up against. Great heals by Yap Yap, what a great guy. Always a great person, just being able to heal units when you need be. That's what you love about Halo Warriors, being able to be a team player, being able to help one another. But yeah, here's a whole army at the end. This game has pretty much come to an end. We're going to go to that 60-second timer. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to go to the stats soon, but hopefully this was quite enjoyable to see the struggle of being on one base and then trying to figure out what is the best way to get ourselves through a situation. I purposely kept myself on one base. There's no way we were going to fight against that massive amount of units on both ends early on in the game. And because of that, we were able to make good decisions and good engagements as a whole. We're going to see if that reflects or not in that stat screen in just about a few seconds. But if you do enjoy this, give a like, give a subscribe, give a comment, let me know, good or bad, about how you feel about this as a whole. And so now, let's get to the stat screen. So, myself playing as Forge, Apple playing as Yap Yap, Base Graph 7022 playing as Colony. I went 14 for 151, incredibly efficient. Our Yap Yap went 61 for 45. Base Graph went 38 for 120. We went up against Rupture Triple A. He went 133 for 49. Eddie O'Neill playing as Cutter, 98 for 41. And ATX missed playing as the other Yap Yap, that orange Yap Yap, that went 91 for 21. So all in all, this was a pretty good game. They did beat us on the economy side because we didn't get those second bases that we honestly needed. And they did use definitely more leader powers than us, especially the Yap Yap on the other team. But all in all, we were more efficient, and that is one of the great ways to come back in this game as a whole, just being efficient as a whole. And hey, I hit 1600 for the first time this year. We'll see what happens. With that being said, have a good one. Have a splendid one. Until next time, G out. If you're still here by now, I appreciate you staying. You have yourself a good one. Thank you so much. I'm leaving some empty space for the end screen because I had some great advice. And so that's what I'm going to do. Have a good one truly. Until next time.